Hello everyone, and I love the epilogue of Red Dead Redemption 2 so much. The entire game of Red Dead Redemption 2 is fantastic, and I will eventually get to making a video about this game, but today I wanted to talk about the epilogue and just how much I love it. Now, I'm not too big on playing a game after I beat the main story, and what I mean by this is, when I beat, Fallout, or, one of the Fallout games, or Elder Scrolls games, or GTA, or even the original Red Dead Redemption. By the time I beat the main story, I've done everything that I want to do, so I normally stop playing at that point, since, in my opinion, there's nothing else to really do. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 is different because not only is the epilogue really fun, but it has its own story that helps leads into Red Dead Redemption 1. Throughout the epilogue, you play as John Marston, and as he tries to move on from his previous life and is trying to build a new one for his family, and I love this so much because it just shows how much work John put to, it shows how much work John has to put in to get a new life, and also how hard it is for him to change. I also love that we get to see more of the Marston family, who I've always loved, and the fact that this epilogue is all about them, I love it so much. The epilogue makes me also love John Marston a lot more as a character, and it's why I can't really decide who I like more, Arthur Morgan or John Marston. More like I can't decide which one I like more when it comes to who's the better character, because like th- this game added so much more to John's character. Like like the original Red Dead did a great job of showing John's character, making us really like John Marston. But the context that Red Dead Redemption 2 added, with him first being an outlaw who didn't give a crap about his family, but then slowly becoming more and more of a family man, and then once he gets out, he tries his best to become someone else and start a new life for both Abigail and Jack, but it's really hard for him. My favorite moment in the epilogue is actually the first part where you are at Pronghorn Ranch. The rest of the epilogue is great, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the first part shows perfectly the struggle that John has with just trying to change. He was an outlaw and a wanted man for most of his life, and he still is a wanted man. And we see that him trying to change and be a normal citizen is hard, especially when people recognize him or John gets into fights. I also love Abigail in this because at first I didn't like her in the epilogue because she got mad all the time when John did something, and it was clear that John didn't have a choice. But after a while I realized that I don't think Abigail was really mad about that, but more that him doing this will cause the government and the Pinkertons to find John, and then it will cause them to be either killed or arrested. Abigail wants to lay low and not cause any attention to themselves, and also wants a normal life for Jack and the entire family, and that's why she gets angry at John. And I can see where she is coming from, and I can get why Abigail gets so pissed off at John Marston. But I also really like that it shows moments where John didn't have a choice, whether it be people pulling their guns out on him, or trying to rob him, or hurt him, or steal from Mr. Geddes, and John decides to help. He decides to step in, and it's clear he didn't have a choice. And it doesn't just make John or Abigail the bad guy. You can see where they're both coming from. I also love the moment where Mr. Geddes tells John he doesn't care what he used to be or what his name is. He just needs John's help. And I honestly see this as Mr. Geddes knowing John, who John is, but he doesn't care because he's been helpful and he needs his help right now. Also, this shootout is awesome. It shows just how badass John Marston is.
Here's got the look of a woman ain't had a real ride in her life. She's gotta make do with some piss-poor stinking farmhand. Hey, tell her I'll let her in my seats. Long as she bathes first in sheep dip, get the stink of you off of her.
So, you work on the ranch for a while until Abigail leaves you, and then you get a telegram from Sadie Adler. You then go to the bank in Blackwater, and you buy the land for Beecher's Hope, which I love that we see John building the ranch and the home that he has in the first Red Dead, really kind of symbolizing him building his new life. And I also really like kind of the contrast with the bounty hunter missions where you work with Sadie because it also shows that John can't give up his old life, but it's also this is the only way he can make money. So he has to do it so that way he can pay off his house. So you meet up with Uncle at the bank and will eventually meet Charles again. And after you deal with some of the Skinner brothers, you
Willard, how you holding up there? We'll get you out of here. Damn bushwhack! Over here! Willard, you'll be all right.
bring materials to Beatrice Hope and you start building John's house, which is one of my favorite moments in this game. I really do love it. Abigail will come back to John, and we get, in my opinion, is one of my favorite missions in all of Red Dead, like including Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Well, the entire mission is you just go to Blackwater, like with Abigail, and you just spend the entire day with her, and you get your picture taken, and John proposes to Abigail with the ring that Arthur gave to Mary, but then Mary returned after chapter 6, returned in chapter 6 after the Saint Denis heist failed. The epilogue has the most satisfying ending ever, like with Sadie finding where Michael Bell is, and she has been looking for him the entire time. John joins her and Charles in taking Micah down. And like I absolutely love this cutscene. I love this cutscene that just, in my opinion, it shows just how much Arthur meant to John. It shows that John cared a lot about Arthur, and he's still pissed off about what happened.
He's not coming.
I will.
That's your business. His business is here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll ride with you.
No, I'm begging you. No! You risk all this? For what? For Micah?
All this wouldn't exist if it weren't for Arthur, Sadie, and all the folks that fell. If I let him go, this place ain't no more real than one of Jack's dragons.
I'm begging you.
And I'm begging you to understand. This is it. This is...
Please.
Please try to... I ain't got no other choice. Keep an eye on the place for me.
Of course.
Please.
But the final assault against Micah is perfect, and finally killing Micah feels so good because him being a rat in chapter 6. Now, I personally don't think Micah was always a rat. I think people give him way too much credit, and I would either make a own separate video about this topic, or I will talk about it when I talk about all of Red Dead Redemption 2 as a whole when I get to that video. But killing Micah is one of the best feelings ever.
I ain't got too much to say no more.
You shot me. You shot me pretty good.
The game ends with John and Abigail's wedding, and Sadie and Charles go their own way. However, it also shows us that because of the commotion that John caused with helping Sadie and also killing Micah, it caused the Pinkertons to find him, and this leads perfectly into Red Dead Redemption 1, which is fantastic, and I can't wait until I make a video about that game and talk about why I love it. But that was the epilogue, and to me, it's just perfection. It's just perfection, and it's that little bit that Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't need to make it even better. Red Dead Redemption 2 was already perfect, but the epilogue made it even better, and it made me like John's character more. Like, because throughout the game we see him grow, we see him become a better father and husband, and then we see him really trying to change and start a new life. We see the struggles he has, like we see the struggles he goes through, And it leads perfectly into the first game where it's like, even with all that hard work, he can't escape his past. And it's so perfect. And this game and the epilogue allowed so many people to go back and play the first Red Dead Redemption. And I love that. I love that so much. And I just love this epilogue. And Red Dead Redemption 2 has the best epilogue ever. And I will stand by that until I die.
Me too.